Hey everybody, how's it going? And welcome to a brand new video. And yeah, as you can see by the title, I'm going to take a look at one of my favorite ROM hacks of all time. It's something that brings in the spookiness of Castlevania, the Ghost and Goblin series, and many other horror-related themes, but drops Sonic the Hedgehog into it. To call this Sonic but with Castlevania would be doing this hack a huge disservice because there are also elements of Ghost and Goblins and other franchises thrown in for extra spooky reasons, I'm guessing. It was first shown off during Sage 2019, and it was an entry I would recommend to anyone who would listen. It could have been my interest in the Castlevania series, or the fact that it's a horror-themed Sonic project that didn't involve Sonic.exe, but I was all about this game right here. Over 5 years of development, this game would see many changes, with some of them being more noticeable than others, and as of 2023, the game was complete and officially released by Red Miso Studio, with a patch releasing 1 year later. I've said this hack is really cool, but never did a deep dive into why I like it outside of it's Sonic with a horror theme, so let's get into it now. This is Hellfire Saga. Surprisingly, there's a story that's told in-game with dialogue. It only took me by surprise because the game just drops you off with no real story beforehand or any kind of scrolling text to give you an idea what the setup is. Near the end of the first level, it's discovered that the Hedgehog was brought to this world after a big flash. He then comes face to face with Gloamglazer, who claims Sonic has been wreaking havoc through the forest, and is an outsider. He warns about going further, but there's no way our hero is going to take the warning at face value as he goes deeper into the forest. After a grueling fight, the blue blur seems to be done in, but Death himself interrupts the sinister spellcaster and seems to be making him fall in line, allowing Sonic to continue into the city. Death seems to take interest in the Hedgehog and sends challengers to test his fighting capabilities until he's had enough and decides to take him out personally. Try as he might, Death is unable to defeat Sonic. As we go further into the game, we come across a character named Shaft, who goes as far as turning into one of Sonic's coolest enemies, Mecha Sonic. After his defeat, he's sent away by his master, Dr. Robotnik. Turns out Eggman made a deal with the devil, I'm assuming, and is going to utilize his powers to take out Sonic once and for all, only for his efforts to once again be in vain. Considering the heavy Castlevania influence, this could be Count Dracula, but I could be right with my other guess as well. After Eggman's defeat, he's sent away and our hero returns to the homeworld with Tails? I feel like I'm missing something here. He's back to his homeworld and it seems like the deal was a little one-sided. Looks like he put that 300 IQ to work. Unless I'm missing something, the lack of context is a little odd, but it's nice to see the game play out rather than it being all dialogue. It's a by-the-numbers story, but that's not so bad. It's really interesting to see how Death is characterized as an arrogant force of evil, and it's funny to see that he works for the big bad of the franchise. And now that we have all of that out of the way, what's the game like? Hellfire Saga is a Sonic 3 hack where you play as Sonic, going around running, jumping, and spinning through platforms and enemies while avoiding death. What I mean is that the game has taken out the ring system and in its place has put a proper health bar. Rings are still scattered around, but they recover Sonic's health instead of adding to a ring counter, which means at full health, they would be pointless. Thankfully, the game makes it impossible to collect more rings than necessary, as it will make the rings transparent to show that you can't collect them. I actually really like this feature because in areas where the rings would point out where to go, it'll still be there if you mess up and accidentally backtrack, even if it's not common. Rather than games like Castlevania or even Sonic 3 and Knuckles, each level consists of platforming and speed sections that lead to multiple mini-boss encounters and eventually a full boss encounter. It also wouldn't be a Sonic 3 hack if shields weren't around. The standard lightning, bubble, and flame shields are all here and are about as useful as you'd expect, especially with enemy attacks. Levels here will have you do a lot more platforming, and while most enemies can be defeated with the jump, you're going to be pushed back a bit, so it's not like you can spin dash through something and expect the level to just take you forward. The insta-shield makes its return to really even the playing field, because there will be times where you'll want that little extra space. The axe-wielding knights come to mind immediately. They tend to get an attack off first. The game does keep one aspect of Sonic's level design that I love, and that's the divergent paths. Sure, it allows for goodies to be found on some hiding places, but it also means not every playthrough is going to look the same. Some stages are going to have some kind of gimmick to stand out, like Force of Decay's flashes that change up the location, and the first time I saw this, it actually blew me away and was something that I hype up whenever I stream it. Obviously, as you go further into the game, the difficulty is going to increase, whether it's the resilience of enemies or the obstacles put in front of you, and I think it's pretty fair. If I had a nitpick about one of the levels, it's Sin City Stage 2. The blocks got me far too many times, but I will counter that by showing off the stream from the 2021 build, where I was able to make it easier on myself by pushing these blocks. That doesn't mean it's 100% free of scrutiny, because I'm never going to forgive these springs. For context, you have to raise and lower the water level, and one of them is very time sensitive. If you hit these springs, you'll just take a death. That's just downright evil. Aside from that, the levels are pretty cool. They have some fun gimmicks, and visually, they're a sight to behold. Wait, can we talk about that first? The game looks fantastic. It's got this dark atmosphere of the games that it's inspired by. It even affects Sonic, which is something I didn't even notice right away. At the start, he already starts off as a darker shade of blue, but becomes even darker in Forest of Decay 2 because of the weather effects. As you go into the next zone, Sonic has this purple hue on him because of the amount of red that's throughout. The same goes for the indoor location we've moved on to. Something worth mentioning are the flashes in Forest of Decay Stage 2, which is a level that I've been coming back to frequently in this video, but there's a point. In the game, the level flashes to show that the player is making progress. It also shifts the level around. There is an option to remove the more intense visual moments, and this is one of them, but honestly, this is the one time where I noticed an accessibility option getting in the way of the immersion of a game. It's not a deal breaker. There is an audio cue to help with that as well, but going through the level without the flashes makes it feel a little less cool. And I understand why this is here. I'm not going to say take this out completely. It is optional. You can choose to go through it. That's why I have this epilepsy warning at the beginning of the video, because I actually recorded the whole thing without realizing it. My bad. Aside from that, while I do enjoy the other areas, I can say that it does get a little samey with the use of colors and malicious glance. Thematically, it makes the most sense. That's the only real complaint I would have. The rest of the game looks fantastic, but to complement great visuals, you also need great audio. The compositions continue to stand out as some of the best parts of the game. It's either that or I just love the fact that they didn't stick to one franchise for their music selection. Sure, Castlevania is represented a few times, including the amazing cover of Dracula's Castle, but the devs have also included some music from the SNES classic ActRaiser, and there were some original tracks in there as well. I think I just love the music in the second half of Forest of Decay Stage 1, because it has something that I would really want, that creepy atmosphere, but also kick-ass music that comes from a PC-98 Castlevania clone called Rusty, and I'm kinda interested in trying out the game. The gameplay looks decent, and this music just, oh my god, it's so good. But now I'm going off topic. I also feel the same way about the music from Aria of Sorrow that's in Malicious Glance Stage 2. I will admit that I miss hearing Raining Blood in Genesis form, but I can see why that might be a problem, and thankfully we got a great original theme to replace it. It's a solid soundtrack with sound effects that are just the cherry on top of this audio sundae, and what the hell am I talking about? The sound sounds good and the music's good, alright? It's obvious that I've been glazing this game for good reasons, but how are the bosses? Tough. Well, tough at first. It had been a long time since I last played a build of Hellfire Saga, so some bosses felt fresh enough that I had to develop a strategy on the fly. Fortunately, the game's infinite lives make it less punishing to take a death, and starting an encounter with a boss can recover some health for a player. At least that's how it works on normal mode. I didn't have any interest in playing on hard mode, and Maniac mode is just one hit. Not for me. The mini-bosses aren't much to write about with their simpler attacks. Where the game really locks in is with the level bosses. To go back to Castlevania, they have a lot of similarities where the player is expected to recognize attack and movement patterns to make it through without constantly dying. Most classic Sonic bosses would allow for a player to develop a strategy to cheese these fights by doing large amounts of damage in short periods of time, or just by damage boosting. Let's be real, sometimes we just did it. The health bar forces you to play more carefully. It's going to test how well you know Sonic's control, and thankfully it's as you would expect from Sonic 3 and Knuckles, but it can also lead you to situations where Sonic is susceptible to taking unnecessary damage or taking a death. The fight against Death Phase 2 brought that to my attention. At the end of the game, Sonic is confronted by Shaft to one final losing effort. Upon his defeat, his boss gets rid of him and is revealed to be the evil Dr. Eggman. Phase 1 is pretty standard, but the final phase throws players in for a loop. The game goes behind the back and now you have to go around projectiles and these hands while in a constant freefall. The jump button does a dash that's similar to the dash in Sonic Mania's Egg Reverie Zone, though it doesn't come at the cost of rings. It's actually necessary to hit Eggman when he's vulnerable. It takes time to go from one hit to another, which is something I'm normally not cool with in a Sonic ROM hack, but like the second phase of Death's Encounter, there's more to this boss than just running in and doing damage. Surviving is just part of the challenge, which is something that some official titles could learn from. Do it once in a while, not all the time, and make the enemy attacks actually matter. And that's it for Hellfire Saga. Or is it? Well, there is an EX mode, and it's like the arcade mode to the game. Remember Sonic 1 on Nintendo Switch? There was the standard mode, which is the game itself, but there's also the Mega Play mode. This would trim out parts of the game for the sake of pacing, to give you a more arcade experience. That's sort of what you get here. Most cutscenes are removed, and some boss fights are altered so they don't take as long, though it doesn't trim out much of the game. I did notice the boss at the end of Forest of Decay was missing an attack, and the final boss is gone entirely. In its place are a few things. Keys are put in every single level that can be collected for a special ending of the game. Unfortunately, I was unable to find all but 3 of them, so this does add to the replay value on top of what's already here, and you do get a rank to show how well you've done. I didn't do so well. And that's Hellfire Saga. On a first playthrough, this will take you roughly an hour, maybe an hour and a half to get through, depending on your skill level. It is going to be more platform heavy like how Sonic 1 would be, but you won't have to deal with something like Labyrinth Zone bringing the game down to a crawl. That could be why I enjoy this a lot more. It kind of reminds me of Sonic 1, but also has the comforts of Sonic 3 with the Insta-Shield. I've followed this ROM hack for years, and I'm so glad that it's out and that I can finally talk about the whole thing. It's also been fun to see the differences over the years, even if it's just noticing the music or other subtle differences. I don't know if I can leave a link to it in the description because every link I find is to the ROM file rather than a patch file, so I'm just gonna say it's very easy to find. I just want to avoid linking directly to a ROM download, so I want to stay safe on that. I'm not sure if the developers Red Mesa Studios is up to anything recently, but I will link their stuff in the description below this video, and I think that'll just about do it. Hey everyone, and thank you for watching today's video. Have you played Hellfire Saga? If so, what do you think of it? Let me know in the comments below, and even if you haven't played it, comment down as well. It'll help out. If you enjoyed the video, feel free to give it a like and subscribe if you're new. And at this time, I want to thank the channel members supporting with a monthly contribution. The Chaos Tier supporters have their names scrolling on screen, but the Super Tier members receive a verbal shoutout. They are Dalton Furry and Ultima Jack. Thank you all so much for your extra support, it is greatly appreciated, and if you want to support the channel with a monthly contribution as well, you can do so with the join button below this video. Lowest tier is $1, and you get perks like exclusive videos that are just my way of saying thank you. There will be new videos on that very shortly. You can also find my socials in the description, as well as the link to my Twitch streams. Come and hang out. I try to stream up to 3 times a week, and we've gone through a lot of games so far, including Hellfire Saga. That's twitch.tv/GottaBeFrank, just remove the E because somebody took that username. And with that said, thank you all so much for watching. I hope you have a wonderful and safe day, and I'll see you in the next one. But until then, take care.